What's this? A to-do board? Coda's to-do today. I didn't put that there. No, seriously. Now what does it say? It looks like a bunch of stuff that I've been putting off. Well, you see, a lot of the stuff on the board isn't stuff I can make a full episode out of. Like, how do I make a full episode out of just exploring? Procrastination be damned, we're doing all of the little things. The side quests, if you will, that don't typically make good YouTube videos. And we're gonna stuff all of this into today's episode. Starting with confession time. I actually found all those ocean monuments from last episode in the clips that I'm about to show you. I've actually been exploring little bits here and there, prepping for when 1.20 comes out and I trim all these chunks. I kind of wanted to get an idea of what kind of biomes were around here and see if I could find any potential meadows that might turn into cherry grove biomes later. But one of the things I wanted to find before 1.20 came out was the 1.19 mangrove swamps, because it's been an entire year since that update came out and I still haven't found a single mangrove swamp. So that was really the big thing that I was looking out for while I was exploring, and I did actually come across one, and a very big one for that matter. So later today, we are going to be digging a tunnel or somehow finding a way across the nether roof to where this mangrove swamp is and connecting the mangrove swamp to our base area. That way, if we ever need any kind of large amounts of mud or mangrove wood, which we probably won't need mangrove wood after one of the other tasks that we're going to do today, but mud nonetheless. Because without a mud converter or dozens of shulker boxes full of dirt, there's really no way to get a lot of mud. So having access to a mangrove swamp is something that's going to be very useful if we ever decide to build on large scale with mud. And don't worry, we're not done exploring after today's episode. Once 1.20 comes out, there's a new biome we have to find, and dozens of armor trims, as well as archaeological dig sites. So this, my friends, is only the beginning of our exploration, which we will continue once 1.20 comes out. And next item on the agenda, that. And in case it wasn't obvious, it's a raid, like a raid for these guys. This isn't the first raid that I've done at this village, and I do them here specifically because how easy it is. You see, the raiders only spawn at two different spots at opposite ends of the village, and one of those ends is across a bay of water that most of the raiders don't cross in time for me to get to them. And the other side is like shooting fish in a barrel. It's a straight alleyway, a straight shot to every mob that spawns down there, and it's honestly probably the easiest spot that I could ever do a raid. Aside from a gigantic farm, of course. Now, the reason I did this was for extra totems because I tend to pop them rather frequently because I can be a bit clumsy sometimes, and it never hurts to have a couple extra. Now I think I want to do a little more exploring, so we're gonna find some axolotls. Now, I was honestly surprised when I was looking through all of my storage to find that I didn't actually collect any axolotls up to this point. And I eventually want to create a breeder for axolotls, and you kind of need a couple axolotls to start. So I headed out to somewhere where I knew there was going to be a lot of lush caves. Surprise, surprise, we're back at the ancient city. And I was well on my way to collecting more than enough axolotls for our future plans of having an axolotl breeder. And who knows, maybe those axolotls will come in handy come time we create a guardian farm. Wink, 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 hint, hint, hint. Now let's see, the deep dark was fun, but before I do anything else, I really need to collect a lot more shulkers. So I think next we're going to be doing an end raid. And until I get a shulker farm, this will not be our last end raid. I sense plenty more in our future. And it's raining. Again. I think we need to take cover from this rain. Maybe cover under the roof of a mob farm? Yep, that's right. We are going to turn this creeper-only mob farm into an all-mobs mob farm. I've got plenty of gunpowder. I have tons of spare shulkers of gunpowder. It's time I find a good way to get some rotten flesh, some string, some spider eyes, easy bones and arrows. And of course, we'll still be collecting enough gunpowder from these farms because it is crazy efficient. The only thing I have to worry about is it being too efficient. And somehow it is still raining. I'm honestly getting a little sick of this overworld. Always raining on me and being mean. I think I want to go somewhere a little bit warmer. So with school ending, I figured it was time to take on a couple of big projects over the summer before school starts up in the fall. One of those big projects I already alluded to earlier, but I'm going to be upfront about the other project, and that is a wither skeleton farm. Those usually take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I figured I'd cut down on some of that effort by scouting out a good enough nether fortress that we could utilize for our farm. And I might not know what I'm looking for, but I have a good enough idea of what a good nether fortress for wither skeleton farms look like. We're not going to be mining out a perimeter, not doing anything crazy like that, so I'm looking for one that's over a lava pit, preferably well secluded and away from all other terrain, and hopefully relatively close to where our nether hub is. And I think this one will work. Now you see, during my adventures in the nether, I actually came across 7 wither skeleton skulls. And I'm not one to shy away from free beacons, so I took the skulls down to where I usually kill all the withers, set my spawn and made sure everything was good to go in case I ended up dying, and easily enough took out both of the withers and got ourselves 2 more wither stars. Maybe we won't need that wither skeleton farm after all. Now before I get any more carried away with the tasks that we have to do today, there's something quite glaring that we haven't done in, well, technically over 1,000 days. Nearly 1,150 days to be precise. Yeah, I'm 150 days overdue for this one. But that's okay, because all of the stuff that I was doing in those 150 days mostly consisted of this slime farm, which until today, I found out was not on the maps. So eventually we're gonna have to come through and add in another sector to the left of where all of our maps are placed right now to actually capture where we're expanding in our future town, because it doesn't capture the slime farm and it doesn't capture our mega villager town hall, which is really just a bummer. But I think that'll be okay, because we only have one more slot left, which is for 3,000 days. And by the time we reach 3,000 days, maybe it'll be time for a new map room. A map room that actually encapsulates our entire base. That'll be fun. And I love seeing how much the base has expanded from 0 days to 1,000 days to 2,000 days. And I'm really hoping by 3,000 days, we'll be able to get most of this 3x3 map filled in. We do have a lot of plans laid out. We pretty much just need to do them. Now, before I do a few of these last things on the list, which are going to be all around our base, I want to put in a couple of farms. Specifically, those 2 farms. And maybe we'll rebuild that cactus farm and make it look a little prettier. Now, our old sugarcane farm was gorgeous. I don't really know why I'm tearing this thing down. It was such a beauty to look at. But it was time to start filling in the mountain with those farms that I had promised when I finished hollowing it out. And this one was always meant to be a temporary farm. And for what it was worth, it gave me all of the paper, all of the sugar that I could ever hope for. Now, we don't really need sugarcane right now, but we do need bamboo, and this bamboo farm wasn't cutting it. Mostly because I had an issue with the rails getting stuck all the time and the hopper minecarts not collecting it, but I figured if I was renovating our sugarcane farm, I might as well renovate this bamboo farm as well. And the sugarcane farm that I picked to replace the old one that I had is massive, and I could really only get it to fit one way inside of our mountain, quite sadly. So I had to do a little finagling. I had to take down the cactus farm, but don't worry, we're putting that back in. And after building it the wrong way the first time, I rebuilt it in the right direction, and it works like a charm. And then I went on to replacing our cactus farm, digging it a little further into the ground so it wasn't stuck up and blocking the view of the sugarcane, and so it was a little bit less of an eyesore. Then last, but honestly most important out of these 3 farms, was the bamboo farm. This one I didn't really follow a tutorial for. I copied the flying machine from the sugarcane farm, but that was pretty much it. Now, I set up some really cool collection systems for this. I'm not a redstoner, but I honestly thought this system was incredible. And I'm going to use FreeCam here to show you what I'm talking about, but this was the minecart system that I went with. It's rather hard to see and rather hard to show off, but basically it completely destroys the minecart after it collects all the blocks from down there, and all the drops get sent into this water stream that drops it into this bubble column up to, oh, hello chicken, up to this spot right here. Now this spot, and this spot quite obviously, all need connecting up to some kind of a storage system in this little corner. Does that mean I'm adding another thing to the to-do list? Nah, I'll do it later. And even though we're not technically collecting anything from those farms yet, they are still running and we're still going to be in the area. So I think that fills all the prior criteria I set for myself. Now I want to move on to something building related. You see, I have an issue. I might be what some call a hoarder. I like to think of myself as prepared. Over-prepared, that might also be a synonym, but I have a ton of shulker boxes full of cobblestone and stone and deep slate, and that's pretty much it. But you see, as it stands, that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 3 shulkers worth of shulker boxes. 3 chests, a double and a half. That's a lot of shulker boxes, and they're just sitting there. So my proposed solution, flying into this gorgeous sunset, right there, across the street from our quarry, we have a nice area. And initially, it was going to be some random house. But today, the plans for a random house get turned into a small stone storage building. Stone and deep slate. But honestly, we're not building a building. We're on a mission to liberate shulker boxes of tyranny. The tyranny of carrying way too much stone and cobblestone and cobble deep slate. Not the tyranny of my hoarding nature. No, definitely not. And thanks to my brilliant ability to plan things, this right here is our old sugarcane farm, recently decommissioned. So there's nothing in this area getting in our way from creating our build, except maybe this sign. Now, being a stone storage, I'm going to use a lot of stone bricks, a lot of rocky bricks, a lot of bricks, maybe. But we're going to need a lot of spaces for our chests to store all of that stone and cobblestone. And you see, one chest can hold 27 stacks, and if we have over 27 shulker boxes, we'll need at least half of that number, blah, 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 blah. We're going to need a lot of chests. And consequently, lots of space. So I'm just going to start digging our hole and hope that I come up with something. Now, I don't want to encroach too far on our ore shop, because I think it'd be really cool to have this stone storage building and then our ore shop right here. So I think about this wide will give us enough space for both the builds to kind of thrive in this little corner of our land here. Oh, and yes, I realize I could have added this to my to-do board. There's a reason I left it out. I don't want to. Polished andesite, granite, diorite, walls. Please, and thank you. Much like the future contents of this building, we've kept it pretty simple. There's still some spots we need to come through and integrate it into the landscape a little bit better, but hey, this build's all about function, and if it looked too good, it'd take away from all of our other beautiful builds in the area, minus this one. So I'm okay with plain and simple on this. And now it's time to hollow out the inside and make room for all of the storage that we are going to need. Already getting a jump start on filling our chests. And now that we've got some space to work with, I think we're going to section this third of the build for our stone, and then this third over here for our cobblestone. And then somewhere in the middle, we're going to chuck in all of our cobble deep slate, and we're going to chuck in our regular deep slate too, because we don't have too much of that. I'm a little bit worried that we don't have enough space to dig into the wall here, so we're going to try and make this small little space work if we can. But I think we have a couple of blocks to spare, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good start. Obviously, the ceiling needs a little fixing. We need to cover up a little bit of that and, you know, fill up all of the chests. Arguably, the most fun part. Slowly but surely, this place is getting pieced together. Now, in the floor, I tried to mirror what was in each section by what is on the floor itself. I wanted to include more details than this, but the space I laid out for myself wasn't very kind in that matter. But we were still able to get our general idea down on the floor, and you can kind of get a feel of what is supposed to go where. So obviously, this is stone. This is going to be our cobbled deep slate, our regular deep slate on this side, and then our cobblestone on this wall. And without our main road going through this area, we don't really have much else to add or connect to this build. I did leave 2 openings on either side you might have spotted, and these are going to be for if we ever have too much granite, andesite, diorite, tuff, any kind of those extra blocks, those extra stony bits that we just have too much of, we can come through here and add more rooms. But for now, it's going to stay as our deep bulk storage for all that extra goodies that we have in our storage system. Oh hey, guess what? It's raining again. Oh, and that was lightning. I actually should better sleep. This is fine. I don't have a problem. You have the problem, not me. I clearly don't have any issues. Not a single one. We're gonna pretend like it's not already full, and we're gonna walk away. Again, I don't have a problem. I swear. Now listen. I found a mangrove swamp, not because I wanted to mine the mangrove wood. I wanted the mud. Now it's clear I do have quite a thing for mangrove, but if we're all being honest with ourselves, farming mangrove by yourself, by hand, potentially the worst thing ever, the worst experience. Come back to me after you've mined yourself an entire shulker of mangrove wood and tell me you want to do it again. Because you don't. There's no way you want to do that. I don't want to do that. I have plenty of other things I'd rather be doing instead of spending all day mining mangrove wood. And I'm not going to stop using it. No, that's not happening. So we're going to build ourselves a very neat automatic farm. And I don't care what you have to say about it. It might be a little cheaty, but hey, if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. And really, it's all about saving my time and my sanity, so sorry, peeps. Now, the reason I say that is because TNT duping is kind of a hot topic in the Minecraft community. But the way that I see it, it saves me time, and that is kind of the biggest thing that I have right now. I'm trying to get videos out as quickly as I can for y'all to enjoy, and in a way that it doesn't burn me out. So if I can find a way to decrease the amount of time I have to grind each and every episode, I'm going to do it. And I mean, come on, it's been in the game for I don't know how long, and the devs still haven't patched it because it is such a community favorite, and it saves so much time. But hey, if a day comes along where they do patch TNT duping, then I'm happy to use the same exact farm with my own TNT. It's just a matter of saving myself time right now. And I do really hope you all can understand that. And as defensive as I may seem, I am really just playing around. But I am curious to know, how many of you guys are actually against TNT duping? Personally, like I said, I'm all for it. Slight change of plans. You see, the mangrove farm is much too tall to fit inside the mountain, at least in the way that we were all thinking. So while this mountain might be huge, it's not quite tall enough for this farm to fit in. So we're gonna have to dig a little hole underneath where I'm standing right now so that the farm can fit here. And you know, technically the entrance is gonna be in the mountain, so I'd consider that farm to be part of our mountain farms. I think that's fair. Now, while we're on the topic of mangrove trees, I decided it was time to dig that tunnel all the way to the mangrove swamp that I discovered earlier in today's episode. And then I remembered I have access to the top of the nether roof, and tunnels are for suckers. It took me a couple tries, but eventually I got the coordinates down and got that portal set up. And then I figured while I was here, might as well seize the moment and fill up a couple of shulker boxes of mud That way I don't have to come back anytime in the future if I do need mud for a project. And not next episode, but some episode in the near future, we are going to be creating a Froglight farm because I have missed out on using Froglights literally all of the 1.19 update, and apparently the best time to do all the stuff from the update from a year ago is right before the next update comes out. So if that doesn't tell you about my procrastination nature, I don't really know what else in this episode can. But yes, our frog collection is growing, and we have a bunch of tadpoles. I think the last color we need is the green one. So we'll get all those together and then build up that farm in one of the next few episodes. Now, is it raining again because our episode is nearing an end? Possibly. But we have achieved a lot in today's episodes. The only thing that we're not going to do today is trees. I think we're going to save that for another episode where we're actually going around and filling in the roads and the trees and pretty much just adding a lot of life and detail to the town area and the surrounding areas. But we're going to finish today's episode with the long-awaited statue of the Admiral. Now, for those of you that may not know, the Admiral is a chicken, and a very brave chicken at that. Back all the way in episode 1, we saved the Admiral from drowning at sea, and ever since then, he has been the captain of this ship that has sat in our docks. And it is time that we commemorate his bravery with a statue out at sea, fitting the elegance of this chicken. It's not quite the Statue of Liberty, but let it serve as a beacon to all the lost chickens at sea that they have a home and a place here, and that their bravery can endure probably longer than they can float in the ocean. Now, of course, as always, let me know what you guys think down below. I went with colored concrete and colored terracotta, and of course, gold blocks right behind me. And I feel like it kind of contrasts with the stone, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do I keep it? Do I change the chicken to white? Let me know. But we've got him out here on a little rock formation that I kind of terraformed and decorated with a little bit of plant life, a little bit of weathering and texturing, and all the good bits that we all enjoy. I didn't go super heavy on the detailing because, of course, we can see him from all the way over here, which was part of the intent. Now, I think that just looks so majestic. You can barely see it from our front door here. That means we can see it every time we come back here for a storage supply run, anything like that. And as I mentioned earlier, we wanted it to be sort of resembling like what the Statue of Liberty does. And of course, the Statue of Liberty doesn't face the island of New York. So that's kind of why the Admiral is facing away out to sea, beckoning all of those lost chickens home to our peninsula. Again, let me know what you think about the coloration. I can always go back and change that. The position might be a little fixed because I kind of like it right there. But if anything is going to change, it's going to be those contrasting colors. What do you think, Admiral? Do you like it? Can you even see it from here? No, you can't. You don't have windows. That's okay. We'll take him out and visit it one of these days. Now, I do believe, minus the trees, of course, that we have successfully completed every single task on this to-do board. And believe me, there are plenty of other tasks that I could have added to this list. But I'm curious, is there any small thing that I missed? Anything you feel like I should have been doing? Let me know down below. And this was a little bit of a weird episode. I don't see YouTubers doing this too often. So if you found it entertaining or if you found it interesting, also let me know. Because there are always a lot of little things that I could be doing around the world, and if you guys found it entertaining and you want to see it again, I'd be open to that. But with that being said, and true to our promises, it is now time for the comment of the day. Today's comment from last episode is from LeCharlie? LeCharlie? Very sorry if I'm butchering that. But they said, a really fun video. Loved it, Coda. Why, thank you. There aren't many entertaining ways that you can dig a hole for a slime farm, so I tried to make that episode as entertaining as I could be, and I think the results speak for itself. It was really fun to create, and I thought it was a really fun watch. So if you haven't seen last episode, The Slime Slicer, go and check that one out. But as always, I really appreciate you guys staying around to this point of the episode. And again, if you have any suggestions for any little tasks or any kind of builds you want to see me do around this world, be sure to let me know. I read every single one of the comments, so I guarantee you I will see your idea. But as the sun sets in my world, it is time the sun sets on this episode as well. So, as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day.